Okay, so the topic assigned to me to discuss is entitled Learning in School and Out. So I am Jenry F. Galicia, Teacher 2 of Alcantara National High School, Alcantara, Romblon, 36 years of age, and I am in teaching for about 14 years. Okay, so again, learning in school and out. So when you say learning in school, it refers to the formal education kung saan nag-aaral tayo. Pumapasok ng paaralan ng high school, elementary, high school, and then college, and even postgraduate, no? So nag-aaral tayo, no, sa loob ng classroom or sa loob ng ating paaralan. So that is formal education. Pag sinabi namang learning out school, so sa labas. Okay? So pwedeng non-formal or informal. So pag sinabing informal, no, nanonood tayo ng TV, tapos natututo na tayo, no? O may kausap tayo, and then from that conversation, we learn something, informal yon. Or we read the newspaper, and we learn something, that is informal education. Ang non-formal education naman, ito ay sa gitna. When yung structure niya, may pagka-formal, pero short courses, no? Halimbawa, may nagpa-training on how to make a soap, yon. So non-formal yon. Maiksi lang yung training, or may maiksing training sa paggawa ng dishwashing liquid, or anything, no, na short yung kanyang duration, at natututo tayo, no, hindi masyadong structured yung kanyang curriculum. Okay, so those are the three types of schooling, no? Informal, non-formal, and formal. Okay, so yung reference material ko po sa aking report na ito ay kinuha ko from Lauren Resnick, no, in her American Educational Research Association Presidential Address given in April 1987. Though this is an old material, but I think that the concepts, no, still holds true up to now, no? Although sobrang tagal na, pero yun, nandiyan pa rin yung katotohanan na umiiral, no, sa ating edukasyon ngayon. Okay, so yung title yun, yung kanyang title ng address niya, Learning in School and Out, no, by Lauren Resnick. She was connected with the Pittsburgh University in Pennsylvania. Okay, so tinalakay niya, sabi niya, there are four broad contrasts, no, malaking pagkakaiba, no, yung sa loob ng eskwelahan, no, formal education or non-formal versus yung informal o yung out of school. So pag sinabi niya, dito kayo sa kanyang konteksto, pag sinabing in school, kahit yan ay nasa labas ng classroom, pasok pa rin yun sa in school. Ang minimin niya na out school ay yung world of work, yung family life. Okay? Kahit sa labas ka ng classroom, pero sa loob ka pa rin ng eskwelahan, or on the job training ka, pasok pa rin yan sa in school. Yun ang yung pagka-conceptualize dito ni Lauren Resnick. So basahin ko, mayroong apat na pagkakaiba. In school, individual cognition versus shared cognition outside. In school, pure mentation, samantalang sa labas, tool manipulation. So in school, symbol manipulation, pero pag sa labas, contextualized reasoning. In school, generalized learning, samantala sa labas, out school, situation-specific competencies outside. Okay, so ito yun, lagay natin sa table. Okay. Alright, talakay natin yung unang contrast na kanyang sinabi. No, individual cognition in school versus shared cognition outside. So, individual, no? Sa pagsaloob ng school, individual. Nagbibigay tayo ng grade, individual, nagpapa-exam tayo, and then we try to get the results individually, no, not by group. manaka-naka lang yung naka-groupings. Okay? Nakadesenyo yung ating mga activities, individual work. Okay? Okay, so yung student succeeds or fails at a task independently. So pag bumagsak siya or pumasa siya, dahil yun sa kanyang sarili. So yun po, no? Sa school, individual. Yung results ng exams or performances, individual yan. Then we give grades individually also, hindi by group. Samantala sa labas ay yan ay socially shared. Okay? Socially shared. No, work life, recreation takes place in social systems. Ang success, sabi doon kanina sa school daw, independently yung success, pero pag sa labas na ng school, depends on what others do, no? And how several individuals' mental and physical performances mesh. So yun nga, socially shared. So magbigay po tayo ng halimbawa na binanggit, no? Si Edwin Hutchins, kinote ni Lauren Resnick, sabi niya sa pagpapatakbo ng barko, no, mayroong sa deck, mayroong dalawang tao na kumukuha ng visual sightings on a predetermined landmark, no, using special telescopic devices. Then the information they get, they pass it on doon sa dalawang tao na who would relay them by telephone or to a specialist on the bridge. And then information ay binibigay, no, to another individual who uses specialized tools to plot the ship's position on a navigational chart and to protect where the ship will be at the next fix and beyond. So, ang nagpapatakbo ng barko ay maraming tao. So, ganyan po ang katotohanan sa mundo, no, ng pagtatrabaho. Shared cognition na. Okay, so pangalawang pagkakaiba, no, broad contrast. In school and out school. In school, pure mentation. Pag sinabing pure mentation, pure thought activities. No? What individuals can do without the external support of books and notes. Yan, sa school, malimit na nangyayari, pure mentation. Samantalang sa labas, sabi niya, engage intimately with tools. Hahawak ka na ng tools doon. Kasi pag mag-lecture pa, malulugi yung kumpanya kasi wala kang nagagawang trabaho kundi mag-lecture lang. Kaya yun ang realidad sa trabaho. Hawak ka agad ng tools. So maraming tools ang iyong kailangan na dapat kabisado. Okay. So pangatlo, sa loob ng eskwelahan, symbol manipulation. So that symbol could be a letter, a number, or any other symbols. Samantalang sa labas daw, contextualized reasoning. Okay? Para maintindihan to, magbigay tayo ng halimbawa. Sylvia Scribner, nakinote niya, okay, studied the use of mathematics knowledge by the workers who assemble and price orders and take inventory in the warehouse. Yan, she documented multiple ways in which these workers use knowledge of case size and physical space. So, hindi na gumamit ng symbol. Case size lang at saka physical space para makompute. Sabi niya, sabi ng worker na kanyang inobserbahan, I walk over and visualized. I knew the case of size 16 was looking at and had 10 out of it. And I only wanted 8, so I added 2 to do it. I don't never count when I'm making the order. I do it visual. A visual thing, you know. So sabi niya, so hindi na gumagamit ng mga symbol. Wala nang compute. No? Dahil sa kanya experience, yung laman pa lang ng kanyang dinadala ay alam niya kung ilan yun, no? Yung quantity, yung volume, alam niya na agad. Yan. Anong tawag doon? Contextualized reasoning. Okay? Hindi na siya symbol manipulation. Okay, let us now go to the fourth broad contrast na kanyang tinukoy. Sa school daw, generalized learning. Samantalang sa school, no? Generalized. Samantalang sa labas, sa world of work, situation specific. Okay? So sa school, marami tayong pinag-aralan ng mga theoretical principles. Pero sa labas na ng school, sa world of work, ang ating panlimit na nagagawin ay situation specific, no, forms of competence. Okay, so example dito, yung kinote niya si Les Gold at ang kanyang mga kasama. Okay. Sabi niya, expert radiologists interpret x-rays using mental processes different from those taught in medical courses, textbooks, and even hospital teaching rounds. Merong ginagawa yung radiologist na lampas doon sa kanyang pinag-aralan. No? Situation-specific competencies. Another example, si Maurice Azirus, no, na kanyang kinote, sabi niya, extensive training in electronics and troubleshooting theories provides very little knowledge and fewer skills directly applicable to performing electronic troubleshooting. Maraming ginagawa sa electronic troubleshooting na kuha mo na sa experience at hindi naman dahil doon sa theories na pinag-aralan sa school. Yan. Another example of situation-specific competency. Alright, so from those four broad contrasts na kanyang sinabi, ano naman ngayon kung mayroong pagkakaiba yung sa school at sa labas, no, sa world of work. Kaya nakarating siya, no, kanyang sinuggest yung naisip niya yung kanyang tatlong punto de vista. So number 1, schooling and economic participation. No, the question of job training, no, the role of schooling in directly preparing people for economic participation. At pangalawa, the role of schooling in preparing people to learn effectively over the long course of their work lives. Kahit sa labas na ng kanilang eskwelahan at sobrang tagal na hindi nag-aaral. So paano ba hubugin, no, ng eskwelahan na matuto ng maigi yung mga tao kahit ito hindi nag-aaral, nagtatrabaho na. Pangatlo, the role of schooling in preparing for the people, for civic, yung kanyang pagiging mamamayan, na cultural participation. So unahin natin yung isa, schooling and economic participation. Now, the question of job training, the role of schooling in directly preparing people for economic participation. Okay. So, unahin natin yung school-based on the job training. No, apart from the classic criticism that such education curtails opportunity by tracking some students out of high opportunity and intellectually demanding curricula, the job training vocational education agenda fails today because of the sheer impossibility of preparing people for the quickly changing requirements. Mabilis humalaos, no, yung mga gamit, yung technology na nandoon sa school based on job training. Kasi sobrang bilis, no, technological and social structure sa trabaho ay sobrang bilis na magbago. So napag-iiwanan yung school based on the job training. Sa work site on the job training naman, no, kanyang binanggit, minention niya si LaVey, yung sa tailoring ito, yung kanyang ginawang example, no, sa tailoring. Okay, from the beginning, they observe both the process of garment production and the resultant product, and they practice few basic skills. So most of the time, nag-observe lang yung trainee doon sa mga experts na gumagawa. Kung tuturuan man nila, gusto nila final product, ay yung final product, simple garment lang. Binibenta yan ng mas mura. Okay? Very little teaching. Yun ang napansin ni LaVey, no, sa kanyang study na kinote siya ni Dr. Resnick. At sa military program, sabi, sa maintenance, no, ng equipment ng mga sasakyang pangimpapawid, sabi niya, they first take theory-oriented courses. Sabi niya, they received no sequence practice. So nag-oobserba lang taga malimit yung mga trainee. So, sabi niya, observation alone is unlikely to support the desirable and necessary conceptual development. Okay, pero maintindihan natin kasi peligroso itong field na ito. Kaya most of the time nag-observe, no, kung may participate man sila ay konting-kunti lang. So yun ang napansin ni Suzanne, no, ang kanyang mga kasama. Hindi, ni Suzanne lang. Okay, another example, sa corporate management training, sabi, we discovered that in the corporate education programs, typically go to classes, take tests. No? Sabi niya, such classrooms do not typically use the workplace itself as a learning environment. So mayroong gap doon sa learning environment at doon sa mismong trabaho. Ano pa ba example? Yes, meron. Sa professional education training, there is a continuing tension in all professional fields between theoretical and practical or clinical training. No, sabi niya, no formal training in the art and science of pedagogy. So mayroong gap. Hindi talaga napapractice yung dapat mapractice sa mundo ng pagtrabaho. Okay, sabi niya, that everything necessary can be learned through on-the-job training practice by an individual with deep knowledge on the subject matter to be taught. Salagang hindi natuturuan ng gusto, no? Doon sa OJT, sa on-the-job training, na galing doon sa expert. So kulang yung turo from the expert na maipasa doon sa trainee. So yun ang observations, no? And kaya sabi niya, no, this analysis suggests that technical, management, and professional education are all suffering from too much adherence to instructional forms borrowed from traditional classroom. Talagang malaki yung gap. There is inadequate engagement with the tools. Yan, kulang yung engagement sa tools and materials at work. At maraming oras yung nauubos sa theoretical explanation than building truly expert performance skills. Kaya sabi niya, new forms of training for competent functioning in various kinds of work need to be developed. So, kailangan mag-develop ng competent functioning in various kinds of work. Now, ways must be found to reintroduce key elements of traditional apprenticeship in forms appropriate to modern conditions of work. Kaya sinuggest niya, simulated apprenticeship environment at saka case-based teaching. Sinuggest niya yung dalawang bagay na yan to bridge the gap doon sa theoretical at saka doon sa practice, actual practice, no, sa mundo ng pagtatrabaho. Sinasuggest niya itong dalawang bagay na ito. Okay, so sinerch ko sa AI, artificial intelligence, kung ano ba yung sinasabing simulated apprenticeship environment. Kinapi ko na ng Tagalog. Ito ay isang paraan ng pagtuturo at pag-aaral na ibigay ng mga mag-aaral ng isang simulado o virtual na kapaligiran kung saan sila ay maaaring mag-practice at mag-aral ng mga kasanayan at kalaman sa isang ligtas at kontroladong paraan. Okay? Para sa pag-piloto ng eroplano, pwede mag-practice muna sila sa isang simulated laboratory. Huwag gawing praktisan yung lumilipad na eroplano sa hangin, baka bumagsak ito at maraming tao yung mamatay. Okay, patuloy tayo. Ano yung mga halimbawa ng simulated apprenticeship environment? Yan, virtual na ospital, virtual na negosyo, virtual na laboratorio. No? Finding ways to bridge the gap between learnings in school and the actual scenes in the world of work. Okay, pangalawa, yung sinasuggest niya yung case-based teaching methods. Yan. Ano mga halimbawa? Mga kaso sa negosyo. Gumagamit ang mga kaso sa negosyo pang magturo ng mga konsepto sa pamamahala, marketing at pinansyal. Totoo, parang totoo. Kaso sa medisina. True to life cases yung ginagamit. Kaso sa batas. True to life mga kaso na dumaan sa Supreme Court. Yun ang dapat pag-aralan. Yun nga, to bridge the gap. Kung ano nangyayari sa loob ng eskwelahan at kung ano yung actual na nangyayari sa mundo ng pagtatrabaho. Okay? So, punta na tayo sa kanyang pangalawang punto de vista. Sabi niya, the role of schooling in preparing people to learn effectively over the long course of their work lives. Beyond recognized job-specific training, modern economic conditions also call for education aimed at helping people develop skills for learning even when optimal instruction is not available. No, such education is essential to prepare people to function well when breakdowns. No, paano turuan dapat yung mga estudyante kapag may breakdowns, no, sa mundo ng trabaho na kanilang papasukin. So pag sinabing breakdowns, yan, unexpected changes. Okay? That render the normal routine way of doing things inadequate. Or it could mean equipment failures, changes in the staffing patterns, new weather, yan. Masanay, no, sa breakdowns na sinasabi. Turuan mga estudyante, no, na kanilang maharap ng mamanage na maigi yung mga breakdowns sa mundo ng pagtatrabaho na kanilang papasukin. Okay, pangalawa, suggest niya that merong mental model yung tao, yung bata, that he or she has an idea of all its parts. Kabisado yung trabaho, hindi lang isang trabaho, hindi yung isang portion lang trabaho, lahat kung paano ba nagkakaugnay yung sistema, ang mga sistema, no, ng trabaho na yan. Kailangan kabisado niya yon. Okay, dapat turuan din yung bata ng mga transitions into new work environments, mga adjustments. May binigay siyang halimbawa, no? Studies of the nature of writing skill in different educational and work environments show how people who are considered adept writers in one context but are judged to be ineffective writers in a new context. Sabi niya, as a case in point, outstanding law students who are successfully served on law review journals writing in law school pero considered as poor writers when they enter law firms. Outstanding law students sila sa law review journals pero nung sila ay pumasok na sa mga firms, law firms, poor writers na sila. So obligasyon ng school, no, to train, to develop skills, no, for ito yung mangyayari, ito transitions into new work environments. Okay, so dako tayo sa pangatlong point of view, no, ni Resnick, based from the determined broad contrast, pagkakaibahan ng school at sa labas, no, sa mundo ng pagtatrabaho. Sabi niya, merong common denominators, yung mga programs na sumusulong ng higher cognitive abilities. Ano yung unang common denominator nila? Okay. First, most of the effective programs have features characteristic of out-of-school cognitive performances. Out-of-school cognitive performances. They involve socially shared individual work, and they are organized around joint accomplishment of tasks so that elements of the skill take on meaning in the context of the whole. So yun po isang dapat pagsumikapan natin, no? When we devise activities, make sure that it has an out-of-school cognitive performances, socially shared individual work. Okay? Kaya nga doon sa ating curriculum na ito yung palagi kong ginagamit, no? Ito yung 4 na stages: knowledge, process, understanding, and product. So sa knowledge, binibigyan natin ng idea yung estudyante. No? We give them inputs na knowledge by lecturing, by letting them to watch, no? Just for them, no? To acquire information. And then we devise activities para ma-practice nila, no? Para malagay nila sa ulo, ma-memorize or maintindihan nila kung ano ba yung knowledge na binigay sa kanila. And then doon sa understanding part, no, pangatlong level yon, we encourage them to do reflection. No? Doon pwede pag nagka-problema, anong gagawin mo? No? Yan, synthesis, analysis nandoon. Then yung pang-4 talagang yun. Product, real life. Yun yung condition doon. Real life yung ipapagawa mo sa kanila. Okay? So I think that is one of the ways, you know, we can apply this challenge of Resnick. Knowledge, process, understanding at dun sa part na product, wherein we are going to devise activities na pang real life, not just na may magawa lang sa school, but has or little no or little connection naman pala sa totoong buhay. So, maganda gamitin yung K-pop, knowledge, process, understanding, and product. Sabi niya, pangalawa, many of the programs na nagpo-promote ng higher order thinking skills, it has an ginagawang overt, yung hidden processes. Meaning kung ano yung nasa isip, ay nailalabas nila. Okay? Encourages student observation and commentary. So when they comment, they can express their ideas. So nag-encourage ng reflection. Commentary reflection. Okay? And they also allow skill to build up bit a bit, yet permit participation even for the relatively unskilled. Okay? So kahit yung hindi masyadong magaling, they are forced to participate. So ganun tayo dapat mag-devise ng mga classroom activities, and in a broader context, yung curriculum ng ating school. Although sa DepEd ay talagang sumasalo na tayo kung anong ibigay sa atin, pero at least to the lowest level, when we devise our lesson plans, so tandaan natin itong challenge na ito ni Resnick sa atin. Okay, pangatlo, subject matter is tailored to engage students in process of meaning construction and interpretation. So our activities dapat encourage meaning construction, constructivist. Okay? Yan. Use powers of reflection and analysis. Doon yan sa understanding part ng ating K-pop, knowledge, process, understanding. So doon natin ma-apply ito sa understanding. Powers of reflection and analysis. Okay, so thank you for listening.